And we are holding in the 6th Perek of Pirkei Avos, which we already said is really added on. Kachi Darka Shel Torah. The following is the mahalach to acquire Torah. Pas b'melach toichel. You should eat salt, bread with salt. Umayim b'mesura tishteh. And you should drink water in a measured amounts. V'al ha'aretz tishon. You should sleep on the floor. V'chayet tzar tichya. And you should live a life of tzar. U'b'Torah ata omel. And you should work in Torah. Im ata isikein ashrecha v'toivlach. And if you do this, you'll be happy and it will be good for you. Ashrecha b'olam hazeh. You'll be happy in this world. V'toivlach l'olam haba. And it'll be good for you in the next world. Whoa. What a Mishna. What a Mishna. So there are those who learn that this Mishnah is saying, if you are poor and these are your only choices, afal pikin, you have to learn Torah. That's, some say like that. The other mahalach is to learn the Mishnah that no, this is the way you have to do it. Now, isn't it a stira? V'chayet tzar tichya. You should live a life of tsar, and then it's going to be good for you. Which one is it? Is it going to be a life of tsar, or is it going to be good for you? And it says b'olam hazeh, in this world. Another diak. Ima ata oisekain. If you do this, then it will be good. What do you mean, if you do this? Those are extra words, a shtickle. This is a what's if you do this? So the answer is that nobody is going to believe you unless you do it. So I can sit here and scream from today to tomorrow how it's nobody's going to believe it unless you go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. And then you'll see that it's taka ashrecha, that it's taka good, even by olam hazeh. And it'll be good with toilach l'olam haba. That's the word. That's the way to read the Mishnah. Now, what's taka pshat? So it can't be, again, this is very much similar to when we discussed precious. The vart is, it can't be that you're looking over your shoulder, oh, if only I could have a strawberry shortcake, but I'm not having it because of thing. Once a person is like that, then he's not getting the precious. That's not what you're doing. You have to go above and beyond. If you're in Torah, you don't need anything else. A guy can sit and fast day after day and go home and eat bran flakes, and he will be the happiest person on earth if he is involved in a sugya. And I'm talking in America today. You could have a guy who will not have a couch, he will not have, and he doesn't care less. Now, there's many facets to this. The ikr point, before we get into the facets, is the ikr point is that Torah is the thing that has to give you chiyas. And if you get your chiyas from Torah, you don't need anything else. And if you don't trust me, im ata oisekain. If you do this, you will see it to be true. I can't describe it if you don't do it, because it doesn't make sense. If you're not in it, it doesn't make sense. It's like somebody who's like, you don't know how to breathe underwater. You put on a scuba gear, like it's not going to work. You're right. It can't work over water. It's not going to work. You have to go you'll go put on a scuba suit, go dive down, and you'll see that you'll survive. I can't tell. More than that, I can't do. So that's what it says. If you do this, you will see that it works. You will see that it works in this world and it works in the next world. And in this world, because you're not going to be running after all day long food and things like that. So why is this the darka shel Torah? The answer is because if a person has too much gashmias and he gets his chiyas from gashmias, he cannot live Torah. You can't do it. It's like, these people, they're like, why not? I'm just as good as the other bachrim in yeshiva. The answer to that question is that you're not. And maybe you can hold cup and handle with them in learning. But if you were to get all the fuzz of gashmias out of your head, then you would be a much clearer world. They have these things called silent rooms. When you go in there, they're engineered that they soak up all sound and you literally hear nothing. And you don't realize how much you hear every second on a regular day. People are not listening to background traffic noises and the air conditioner and the fridge and the computer humming. because you've gotten used to all these sounds. So there's constantly sounds going into your head that you are minusing. Gashmis is the same way. When you enjoy a geshmaka steak, and you enjoy it and you get chiyas from it, you may not realize it, but you are deadening your senses for Torah. That's what's happening. You're deadening your senses for Torah. Memela, you might be used to it, so it's not going up and down on the radar, but you're not getting the full impact of having Torah in you. And Memela, the true Chaye Torah, is if you have no other Gashmis coming. Now, there's a facet to this. There's a caveat, and that is that Rabbi was one of the richest people to live in his times, and he was one of the most, he had the most gashmias in his time. It said that during his time, he never had his table set with all the most exotic foods, and nowadays having exotic foods is not such a big deal. You just go to Jewel, you get whatever you want. Back then, it was a big chiddush to have kiwis in the middle of the spring, or whenever, because there's no such thing as fridges. And nevertheless, he never had his table not set with thousands of foods. Yet, he picked up his hands before he died and he said, I never had hana from this world. What does that mean? It means he didn't live Gashmias. You can own a stretch Honda Sienna. No, Honda, what is it called? They're vans. I say it because that's...
Odyssey?
Yeah, okay, right. That's the Cadillac. That's the one, the real Spitz in Lakewood Drive. So the minivans that are like, so it's much better than Toyota Sienna. So you can go ahead and drive a stretch Honda Odyssey. But if you don't get your chiyas from it, that's fine. If you don't get your chiyas from it, that's fine. You can go ahead and have a nice house, but if that's not talking to you, that's okay. The point is you can't live Gashmias. The more you live Gashmias, the more your senses are deadened for Torah. And it's a stira. You cannot have both. One is Ruchnias, one is Gashmias. They cannot coincide. If you're listening to this, you can't listen to that. So Memela, you're going to say, oh, but it's a Chayet Tsar. I can't live it. It's not true. Because you don't need it. A person, if it's not the same way right now, we're not desperate for something, and you don't have your hasagas set for it. So then, if you don't have your hasagas set for it, then you'll be super happy. I'll bring you a raya. This just happened yesterday in my house. Yesterday during Seder, my kid calls me, and why? Because he won Masmidei Hasiyum from the Aguda. Now, my older boy had, at the beginning of this program, won, and he got himself a hoverboard. One of those hoverboards, whatever. So my next kid won, and this is already, almost a year later. He's so pumped, he's literally dancing around the house. He calls me in the middle of Seder, which my family usually doesn't do. And why? I won the hoverboard, I'm so excited. Okay, fine. Turns out that there are different levels of winning, and he didn't win any hoverboard. He won a $36 gift certificate to our Art Scroll book. So I cannot tell you the amount of tears that he cried. He was crying his head off. I said, this is the first time I ever saw somebody crying because he won $36. But he was really sobbing. So I said, there's a lesson over here. What's the lesson? It's all expectation. If he didn't win anything, he would never be crying. I come home, I give him a fresh book. Mazel tov, you won a book. He'd be super pumped. The only part is he thought he was going to get much more. So he thought he was going to get much more. And now all he gets is a silly Art Scroll book. He doesn't want that. He cries. He's sad. Gashmis is the same thing. Every single ounce of Gashmis is the same thing. If you go ahead and you don't expect a lot, then you're not missing out if you don't get it. It's total 100% self-inflicted. Anything that happens to you and you don't get and you're sad, it's self-inflicted because it's your expectations. If you didn't have those expectations, you can change it very easily. It takes just a couple minutes sitting by yourself and saying, this is not me, and then you don't need it. And it's very easy. It's very easy. You just have to do it. And I'm not saying that anybody, but people think this Mishna is way out of their league. It's not out of your league. Any single American can do this. And it's just 100% self-training. It's self-training. And this is, the less Gashmias you have, the happier you are. Because my kid didn't have anything yesterday and he was super happy. This kid is a very happy kid he is. Why was he crying yesterday? Because he thought he was suddenly up to the next level. Now that he's not at the next level, he's crying. I said, I wish he didn't win anything. Of course I wish he didn't win anything. This way he wouldn't have cried. Now we're going to get a book in the mail from Simi and Mimi. Whoopee. That's worth all his tears? Of course not. It's going to get ripped within 30 seconds, thrown out by the end of the week. That's what happens with books in my house. So it's there's no tachlis bichlal in the winning bichlal. So the whole going up for him was really a going down. That's the whole thing. So and Gashmis throughout Gashmis is like that. So now the question. So now the more Gashmis you have, the more dead. Now again, you could have Gashmis so long as you don't get your chiyas from them. If it's just a practical thing, a guy needs a car to get from point A to point B. Okay, so now his shaila is: should I get a car that's a used old clunker, or should I get a normal car? Why should I get a normal car? Because I don't have to be busy with mechanics and this and that. Fine, so if you're not living it, then it's okay. As long as you don't live it, that's fine. You go in, you breathe the leather, you go in, you geschmack, you're sitting at a red light and you roar the engine and it's getting a geschmack. That's where you start having problems. Okay. Al tavakesh gedula la'atzmecha. Do not attempt to get gedula by yourself for yourself. Al tachmid kavod. Do not tachmid. Do not have jealousy or kavod. Do not crave honor. Yoysim limudcha asay, more than your limudim you should do. Do not have a taiva for the table of kings. Because your table, a Talmid Chacham's table, is greater than the kings. The table of kings. And your crown is greater than their crowns. And the Ba'amalachticha is Naaman, Hashem is Naaman to pay his two just rewards. It's interesting that what does it mean that there's a Gemara that says this as well, that Moshe Rabbeinu died, and 3,000 years later we're still keeping his edicts and we still study his words. Is there any king on the planet who 3,000 years later we're still studying his laws? Is there any king Bechlal who we're still studying? Even the Magna Carta, I'm saying, none of these things, it's all gone, over a bottle. You could be it's the only thing that counts is Torah. Okay? I heard a great vart that somebody said this guy who was, I told you I was schmoozing with on Friday, he was stuck in Eretz Yisrael. So he said that he was by, he went to Telstone. I don't know if you remember this from Eretz Yisrael, but in the beginning of Telstone there's a gas station that has a very big icon, an American icon. Anybody remember what it is? Elvis Presley. So, anybody here know who Elvis is? So
I don't know what Elvis is.
So I'll tell you, you have all these Israelis come and they take a picture next to this thing Elvis, because they want to be America, okay, fine, and they take a picture next to Elvis because Elvis is like the in thing, and they want to be the in thing. Meanwhile, you're an American and you're like, who's Elvis? And like, no, that's Elvis. Like, oh, you're my parents knew Elvis, and my parents' parents knew Elvis. That's like, Elvis is like so outdated. Yet, and like, we're taking a picture next to Elvis. Who's this? This is like he's one of the Santos guys. Like, he's no shaykhus anymore. Yeah, for an Israeli, it's kishmak, because an Israeli think that it's the in thing. So we are looking at these Israelis and like, you're so out of it. You are so out of it. And yet, it's the same thing by us. Whatever is Gashmias today is gone tomorrow. The only thing that's real is Torah. The same Pnei issue that they handled 200 years ago is being handled today. The same Rashba that we're going to work on today was worked on 1,000 years. It's the same thing. It doesn't expire because it's the only truth on the planet. The next Mishnayos we have spent almost the entire year on. So I'm just going to rip through it. And the plan is that after we finish this Perek, we're going to go back and finish it off. So we have over 100 shiurim so far on the Mem Ches Kinyanim. So I'm just going to quickly rip through. Torah is better than Kahuna and Malchus, because Malchus you get with 30 malis, In kingship, you get 30 miles. You have the rights to do this, the rights to do that. It becomes, it's 30 miles. But Kahuna, you only get 24. And Torah, you get 48 kinyanim. Now, the part is that it takes 48 kinyanim to get. But once you get the Torah, you refine these 48 kinyanim in yourself. So you get 48 kinyanim. All these things, again, we had 5 or 6 shiurim on each one. And Mamela, I'm not going to go through them again now. If anybody wants, I could give you a link to the shiurim that I can give you a link to them. Be'ema be'yira ba'anava be'simcha be'shivash chachamim be'diktiv chaverim be'pilpul atamidim be'yishuv be'mikra be'mishna be'miyat shein be'miyat tzicha be'miyat tainag be'miyat tzchoik be'miyat derech eretz be'erech hapayim leiv toiv emunus chachamim kabbalas yisurim mishna vav hamakers mekayim samech b'chalkei ha'isa siyag v'dvar v'ena machzik toiv la'atzmei ohov oivas ha'makam oivas ha'priyas oivas ha'teichachas. This is where we stopped, so we're going to pick up Mitzvah Shem after Shavuos from here. Oyvas and Aisharim Misrachik Ben Akavid V'loy make us sleep by the Talmud Ein Esmech by Iran Nisabel M'Chaver Machril Kapschus Ma'amida Ela Emes Ma'amida Ela Shalom Misyashim Libe B'Talmud Aisharim Meishiv Shemei Ma'isuf Helamed Amanas La'Lamed V'Alamed Amanas La'asis Machkim Es Rabbi Mechavan Es Moshe Ha'omer Davar B'Shem Omer Ha'omer Tashakola Omer Davar B'Shem Omer Mei V'Gula La'Elam. If you say something over in the name of the person you're supposed to say it over in the name of, then you bring a Gula to the world. Shenever V'Temer Esther L'Melech B'Shem Mordechai, as it says that Esther said it over in the name of Mordechai, and that brought the Gula. Okay, so we'll start tomorrow with Mishnah Zion, and maybe, just maybe, we'll be able to finish before Shavuos. I think we should, and we have to get to Yud Aleph, assuming that we'll learn on Wednesday also, on Thursday also. Should get to Yud Aleph, and then after we'll finish off the list of the 48 Kinyanim. Okay, that is basically that.